in-state recruiting, a lot of loose ends there, but one did get tied off here today. Teddy Rezac, Omaha West Side, identical twin to Anthony Rezac, the quarterback of the state championship Warrior football team, announced his commitment to Notre Dame. And this is a blow. I mean, Nebraska offered him after Notre Dame, but just the perception, obviously this is a guy you'd want to keep here in the state. But Notre Dame, Al Golden goes in, does his school visit, eyeballs the kid, and is like, whoa, because he's a legit 6'3.5", 185, 190, tons of upside, runs 4.5.
Do they project him as an outside
linebacker that can run and move? But he was second team all Metro, and a lot of that has to do with he was just kind of on a loaded team. I mean, he's the 5th player that Nebraska offered from the 2022 Omaha West Side team.
That's
5th.
Amazing.
And his brother could easily be an offer level guy too, Anthony. And look at these twins. I mean, Teddy is on the right, Anthony's on the left. But, their dad Dominic, their dad DJ Rezac. Strong roots to they love Nebraska. They have season tickets in Nebraska. In fact, Lazari's Pizza, which is owned by our good friend Greg Liss and Seth Reagan, he started that business in Lincoln. So he's got deep roots to this community. But Notre Dame just blew their socks off. They went out there for a visit on April 30th, May 1, and they get into town. They go out to dinner with a lot of the coaches, their wives. The coaches' kids were there, and it was just them. And the Rezacs are a big family-oriented family, and they just did it right. They won the mom, Lisa Rezac, over right away, just with what they showed them, and then they offered. And I think it all happened so quick, and they were all blown away by just the priority that Notre Dame made them.
Yeah.
That was the story. But I think there was also a deadline that he couldn't drag this process off. That Notre Dame offer had an expiration date on it.
You think so?
I definitely think so.
Okay.
And they had to make a decision. So, on the surface, this is a bad one to lose for Matt Rule, to lose a kid from Omaha. But they didn't offer him first for a reason either. They had evaluations on all these guys. So it's really tough to be the coach of Nebraska because tell me any other state where every in-state guy you're supposed to get, every one of them.
Well, I mean, since I don't want to dwell on Colorado, but they don't worry about it at all. With Deion. Deion's not offering Colorado kids, Sean. He's not there. Virtually nobody.
Gage Ginther was one of them.
Right.
Well, and then the other guy's going to Kansas State from Colorado, the fullback tight end kid.
That's just an example, but it's our neighboring state. Yeah, you wrote in your column this week, the Rezac family has held 10 Husker season tickets for over 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, they grew up. They have another son though, Dominic, who plays at Vanderbilt as a walk-on. Was committed to the Air Force Academy, switched to go to Vandy. Dan Jackson was a big reason why. Their other daughter actually dates Chris Brown's son, who's a golfer at Creighton.
Okay, and
I believe she goes to Arizona, University of Arizona. So they're all over. Their family. I mean, they're Husker. They grew up in Nebraska, but they're Catholic as well. And I think the Catholic connection with Notre Dame hit home. They were really like one of the stories when they went on that trip, the Keurig coffee machines.
Yeah.
The guy that invented that is a professor at Notre Dame.
Okay.
And they go in and meet with that guy, and he knew everything about them, their whole story, everything.
Is that right?
And so, I mean, they were just really, I mean, Notre Dame knocked their socks off. I mean, and I think at that point for Nebraska to counterpunch back, it was going to be extremely tough with what Notre Dame did on April 30th of May 1.
Yeah, that's interesting, Sean. But like you said, it is tough here. You're not going to get every guy, especially right now. Some of that. Come on, I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but Nebraska's limited success in recent years catches up. I mean, it does. It's bound to. If Nebraska were coming off of a 10-win season in a prominent bowl game, I mean, stories might be a little different.
And in this 4-year stretch, it's the record number of Power 5 guys that we've seen in the state. Last year, Nebraska made 13 offers. Rezac was the 9th offer.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and you're not going to – I mean, I don't want to sound like listen, I know this is going to resonate with people. I don't want to be an apologist for the program and these things all the time, but you're not going to get everybody. You're not going to get every in-state kid. And I mean, until you start winning at a high level, you shouldn't expect to.
Now, with that said, the Bellevue West wide receiver duo, Isaiah McMorris,
right, and Davion Hall,
Devon Hall.
Sorry,
no, and he told us Davon for years.
Davon,
but it's Devon.
Oh, Devon.
Yeah, Mike Huffman. He's like, I wish Devon would have told us that because everyone's been calling him Davon for 4 years, but it's actually Devon Hall.
Devon Hall.
They are going to take their official visits to Nebraska the weekend of June 23rd. That is going to be the priority weekend for Nebraska. A lot of smoke out there as well about Dylan Raiola, that he may take an official visit to Nebraska. And if it's in the month of June, that would probably be the weekend, because the weekend before that is the Elite 11 camp in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to keep your eyes on. That hasn't been officially announced by the Raiolas yet. But these two Bellevue West wide receivers, Hall and McMorris,
Isaiah McMorris,
talking with Garrett McGuire, the wide receivers coach of Nebraska. I didn't talk to Garrett McGuire, clarify that, but Mike Huffman said that Garrett McGuire has really won these guys over and got Nebraska back in. And I think that's a real promising nugget there. I think there are people wondering, like, how is Garrett McGuire? He's done an excellent job with these two guys. They're probably the final two in both. I think with Hall, it's Arkansas and Nebraska are the top two. With McMorris, probably USC, Nebraska.
Geez, you're battling. I mean, that's a battle. Even Arkansas, people scoff at Arkansas now. They've gotten pretty good. They've gotten pretty good.
They're an 8 to 10 win team.
Right. And USC's USC. I mean, so yeah, you're in tough battles. But these are the kind of guys you got to get.
Yeah, and you know, they're two of the more decorated in-state receivers that we've ever seen in the state. So then you've got a few other guys. It's going to be interesting just to see how it plays out. Obviously, Ashton Murphy is already committed to Nebraska. The two receivers that I mentioned, but you know, you got Caleb Benning, who's had an offer for a long time. I think the question is, like, is he really truly being recruited heavily? There hasn't been a lot of engagement on either side with his recruitment. And I think the big thing for Matt Rule is, with all these in-state kids, he'd like to see them work out live.
Well, he wants to see some speed. He wants to see the speed numbers.
And so will they get to see Caleb in camp? We'll get that far down the road. I don't know, but that's one, you know, another one. Caleb Pye from Omaha Central, offensive lineman. He's got a Nebraska offer. It'll be interesting to see if they get him in for a June visit as well. And then Eric Ingwerson, Timmy Green and Mikey Green's nephew, out of Papillion La Vista, the tight end that's committed to Pitt.
Yeah,
that's one to watch.
Okay.
I think Nebraska's got a decent chance to flip him. I think he'll visit Nebraska in June. If I had a guess today, then Carter Nelson, he's visiting, set up 2 visits. He's got visits to Georgia lined up on June 2nd, and then Penn State on June 9th. So will Nebraska get him in on that 23rd weekend? And if Raiola comes in that week, I mean, that would be interesting to see how they kind of puzzle June together.
Hey, Sean, I mean, man, this is going to get interesting. Holy God. I mean,
I unloaded a lot there.
Oh, boy. I mean, just the Carter Nelson information alone is fascinating. I mean, you got to go get him over Georgia and Penn State, which Penn State has been churning out 11-win seasons. I mean, they had a bad season a couple of years ago, but they had 11 last year. And Sean, I'm going to tell you something about Penn State. Watch them.
Let me correct myself here. Actually, Penn State's not set up yet.
Oh,
no, it's in the works. Notre Dame is the second visit.
Well, there you go.
So it's Georgia, Notre Dame, Penn State, probable, Nebraska, obviously probable.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, if there's a dark horse national title program, Penn State's that. I mean, that they're loaded up, Sean.
So you look at the RPM, it's adjusted to kind of these official visits, with Notre Dame and Georgia with these official visits.
Okay.
And that's another program that's really knocked the socks off the Nelson family. They had a strong connection at Notre Dame when they were out there as well. So they're doing a good job with Marcus Freeman, obviously, in the state of Nebraska. You got to give them a lot of credit for what they've done. Carter Nelson, by the way, did qualify SIP for 3 events at the state track meet. He will do the pole vault, the high jump, and the discus.
And I think he's on a 400-meter relay.
They got beat though.
Oh, they did?
They didn't make unless they get in as a wild card. But
I thought I read that they were in. No, they're not though. Okay.
No, they
high jump, pole vault, and discus next week.
He went 14-1 in the pole vault, which is his PR.
He went 14-1.
14-1.
Really?
And there's a Jesse Owen, the coach there. had a video he posted on Twitter. It's amazing just to see him get that body over the bar.
And Sean, correct me if I'm wrong here. He could just be a collegiate pole vaulter if he wanted to.
I don't know. I mean, not high D1, but yeah, if he really wanted to train and do that, then his high jump was the first time he high jumped all year. He went 6'1", and he stopped. So the reason he stopped at 6'1", that was the automatic qualifying mark.
Oh, he's gone 7 though.
Yeah. And they did not want to push him. They just wanted him to get in the meet.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's some strategy there by Jake Nelson and Carter. Don't even put the number out what they think he's going to do.
Okay.
And then he'll be in Omaha on Friday, Saturday.
I got to go easy on that 14-1. 14-1. I don't know if that would get you college or not, but I'm
trying to think. My wife's dad was a collegiate champion pole vaulter, and he was in the 14s.
Okay.
Maybe he was UNK conference champion.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the technology's advanced a lot further.
The fact is, what is he? You gonna call him 6'4",
6'4", 215,
and he's pole vaulting at that level, and he has been a 7-foot high jumper.